at 12 o'clock on the Afro Hair Science YouTube channel. What are you waiting for? Hey, what's happening, good people? How are you guys doing out there? Y'all know who it is, right? It's me, your homegirl, Ladosha, right? AKA Key Lolo, coming to you live and direct from the Barbers Design Team Hair Salon. And we are having a fantastic sunny day here in Cleveland, Ohio. We are on our 26th episode of how to of how to our 26th episode of So You Think You Can Do Hair, and our topic is how to design your very own salon barbershop space. And that could be a loft, that could be an actual salon like the Barbers Design Team Hair Salon, or it could be a suite. So wherever your space is, this is a topic for you. And then, of course, right over there, whoops, there she is. Y'all know who it is, right? It's my homegirl, my BMF, the one and only Cheryl Marvel, aka the Hair Oracle. So, Cheryl, what's happening over in sunny San Diego, California? Is it still sunny? It's about to get hot in your town, right?
No, it's
No.
it's cool. It's cool. It's cooling.
Oh, so wait. So I thought when we got hot, like in October, when we start to cool off, you guys get hotter, or no? You guys have an actual winter, or no?
Well, we just cool off, except the extreme just cools off, but it's still that perfect 75.
Look, she's like that perfect 75.
Right.
I don't know. Speaking of California, I don't know if you guys are aware, but I went on YouTube looking for some content for our topic tonight, and I saw that Tito Jackson passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got Frankie Bell. First, we had James Earl Jones. Then we had Frankie Beverly, and now we have Tito Jackson. Man, and he was young. He was only 70 years old. I don't think they said
Hey,
how
was
he.
it? Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we just gonna miss our Tito with the guitar, and I mean, it's like the Jackson Five is just kind of,
Yeah.
yeah. So
I
if you're a Jackson's fan, drop your J5 in the chat. I'll go ahead and drop mine in the chat. I love the. Did you like the Jacksons growing up? Were you a Jackson Five
mean, who
fan?
did? Who
You know,
did?
yeah. I don't know. I can't imagine anybody not liking the Jackson Five, but I did. I loved them as adults, especially when I liked when they came back. They reunited. Some people were like, "Eh." I don't know. I'm a Jackson 5 fan, so they have really good music. I mean, that's the one good thing about, when you are an artist is that when you do get a chance to make music, you go on, but your music is like in perpetuity. It's like forever,
Ever,
ever.
ever,
All
ever.
right. Yes. So we're going to have a really, really good discussion. Now, I think for anybody who's in the throes of opening up their own business, nothing could be more exciting than number one, you're going to have the opportunity to open it up. Number two, you're going to have the opportunity to deck it out. Okay. So this afternoon, we're going to walk you guys through how you can actually do that, because that's something that doesn't get covered too much in cosmetology school. What's up, WK? How you doing? What's happening? What's happening? So that's not something that gets covered a lot in cosmetology school, because it's kind of assumed that most people are going to go and work for someone. So it may be turning just a little bit, but I don't see a lot of and don't hear a lot of conversations around designing your own space. So with that being said, let's just take them into the concept of actually designing a space that
Mm.
has, maybe three walls and a door, and a bathroom, and then you have your dispensary. So and that's going to be the foundation for, I mean, all businesses are going to have that. So let's talk a little, let's get them, right into the topic of um, what it is, number one, why this whole thing of designing the space is important versus just meeting the specs. Because, state board is going to come in. Well, some people are going to have it inspected by the city, but you can talk about that too a little bit, because you can't just go and start knocking out walls and drilling into stuff without the city knowing. So maybe we could start with that, and then why is it more than just meeting what the state says you have to have in order to have the salon space, and even why that's important. So let's start there. Why is this space important? And then the whole build out process, and then the whole creative process, and then why state board wants it a certain way.
Well, first, because state board, as you guys know, if you're in school, they are concerned with public safety. That's number one. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to follow certain guidelines if you're doing it from scratch. Obviously, salon suites and those things come already compliant, right? But if you are doing it from scratch, you do or should get a contractor kind of consultant, just so you'll know that you're up to code with plumbing, public safety access, a front door, just in case you have to exit. And there's just certain compliant things that you have to have. And the creative process obviously is the cosmetic look. The
Mm-hmm.
feel, you want it clinical, you want it sexy, or you want it girly, or you want it fun, and just things of that kind of, nature. You want to cosmetically be in a space that you would want to get serviced in, because you want them to relax. But as far as making sure that those two don't go together, compliance, public safety, and I think either too, because we use a lot of electricity. Make sure that the electricity is up to code, and got to have a fire extinguisher, things of that nature, so you can get there's a lot of permits. I'm remodeling, my parents' house, and I didn't think that there was just so much involved in terms of permits and things. If you're going to create, get a lease, and then you want to transform it into a salon space. Ooh, a lot of things you gotta do. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very different, and I understand. And in this subject, is actually going to make me understand, really appreciate, and respect the fact that salon suites, why they're so, you know, attractive.
Right. And I was going to ask you, outside of the obvious of why the state board would want us to, have it laid out a certain way, which of course is safety in case of fire, and things again of that nature. But why else would the state board want to put regulations around how we could open these places? What is that city people are looking for? Because some people try to cut corners, and they kind of, get a lot of complaints about, uh, you know, uh, um, what do you want to call these? Compliances that you have to do. So, are there other reasons as to why the state, aside from the obvious, which of course is exit, are there other reasons why public safety is important, and how a barber, a salon, a nail tech, and even a skincare business, why it must be quote unquote laid out or designed a certain kind of a way?
And make sure that you understand that the state would be not involved with the actual building itself. That's between you and your landlord, because your landlord has to make those changes. The city is with the actual building. So state is usually going to be your consumer affairs and cosmetology requirements of how it has to be set up in terms of cosmetology, and the servicing, rendering services. That's that part. But the city will be dealing with your landlord, and making sure that your demands of what you need and want is suitable for a salon. That is the relationship between you and your leasee.
Now, say if you were gonna rent this space and the landlord said, okay, you could decorate it, but now you need a permit. Okay. Now, who's going to be responsible for getting those permits? Would it be the person who's going to actually fix the space, or would the landlord be responsible for getting permits for things to be torn down and pipes to be installed? And talk a little bit about why permits, why you want to make sure the person that you're getting has those proper permits and credentials. Because some people, guilty, guilty, guilty. I can tell you a story about that, but just kind of answer that a little bit.
That's in your negotiating with your lease. Making sure that, and one of the reasons why we're talking about it is to make sure that, well, number one, you have to have a plan. You have to know what is going to be your main service portfolio and what you're going to be doing. And so that is the negotiation between you and your leaseholder, your lender. You know what I mean? And
So you're saying the build out could be on the owner of the space, and the build out could also be on the actual person who's going to lease the space, depending on the contract that they have between the two.
absolutely, and that gives you the room to negotiate, because if you're making improvements, that is advantageous for your the leaseholder and the owner of the building, especially when you are in a space. Now, if you're in a standalone building that's not a part of what they call multi-use, people, let's say if you're in a building where there's people who live above you, it's like multi-use, right? And then at the bottom is retail space. There is that particular person who owns that building or is in charge or over that building has to have certain requirements in order to have it be commercial space, right? But if you want something that is structurally an add-on or different, you're going to have to negotiate that. And that's why whatever types of services, let's say you want to make sure that you want to open up a green space, a very clean green space, and you want to be what they call green compliant, right? And you want to be officially, to make sure that you're recognized by those particular agencies and bureaus that really recognize you, so you can get some of the documentation and certification that says I want to be green. You're going to have to work that out and negotiate that with your landlord, right?
Right.
So, but structural needs that are make sense in a standalone building, you're going to be responsible for. Yeah.
Okay. Now, what about finding someone who can do these things? So, say you have to have a permit to build a wall or put in plumbing. What are these future business owners? Do you have some advice for them on selecting a business or a person to actually do these things to meet what the city, like she said, now the State Board of Cosmetology will not require this. So again, just to reiterate what Cheryl is saying, that the city is going to be kind of overseeing who's going to come into that space and actually do the work. So with that being said, are there some do's and don'ts in looking for a person to come and do your plumbing, or do your build out is what they would call it?
Hmm. And just my whole experience in renovating my mother's home, I can say that, of course, you want. I like working with people who are recommended. That's number one. Number two, who has a portfolio of work. Their,
Hmm.
not pictures on the internet. Okay. And you want to make sure that they also understand the permit process on their own, because your contractor probably will be doing that. Okay. Most
Hmm.
likely they will be.
Hmm.
You won't be filing for the permits yourself. Your
Right.
contractor will. And so,
Okay.
yeah, but the number one do and don't. probably goes hand in hand. Make sure that they come recommended, which means that you can verify the work that they have done and you want to see some of their work.
Right. Yeah.
And make sure that they're licensed in your city or
Yeah,
county.
yeah. I can say that when I first, went to open up the salon, I wasn't aware of the permit process. And so the first person, like I knew we needed to make some changes, right? So
Mhm.
again, I'm very green, and this is why we need to have these. I wish this was around when I was opening up, because a lot of people are just coming from truly, literally, like out of nowhere, like me. I just came out of nowhere with no background in owning or opening up a business, let alone a hair salon at all. And so when we first went to like renovate the space, I wasn't aware that you had to have a permit. So the city came in like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, you just lease this space. And the landlord didn't tell me, he was just like, okay, here go the keys. All right. I'm
Money.
not I'm not paying for it. He
Yeah.
made that he made that abundantly clear. You can do whatever you want, just don't tear the place down. And you can take your light, like we have these lights up here. So if
Mhm.
you want to take your lights back, he wasn't saying you have to leave these things, right? But the
Mhm.
city did come in and was like, you guys have to have a permit. So what he did was he put this paper up to the window and was like, we don't want people to see what's going on. You want it to be a surprise, and you don't want people to see the equipment, like that kind of stuff. Well, really, what he was doing was illegal. So you have not. Now, I'm not saying putting up the paper was illegal,
No,
but
it's not.
unbeknownst to me, he
Yeah.
put the paper up so that he thought the city wouldn't realize that he was doing things that he wasn't permitted to do. So again. It is on the actual contractor to register and do those things. And if you don't think the city is watching you,
They
they
are.
are. They are watching. So make sure you do that. All right. Okay. Next up. So what is it that, like, one of the things that you said was you got to have a plan for this space. All right. So I'm going to pull up some images and we're going to walk people through exactly what you are talking about when we say, you said you got to have a plan for this space. So let me just pull up, I'm going to pick a space that empty, empty salon space so people can see when you talk about the vision that you said you got to have a plan for this. So here I'm just going to pull up just a generic image. Here's a really, really good one. Well, I'm pretty good at this show. Hold on. So here
Ah.
we go. Here's a nice empty space, guys. We're going to get you guys going. If you're about to have your own business, you're going to get a loft or you're going to rent a suite. This truly is going to be the life for you before you get ready to sign that lease. Or if you've already signed it, here we go. So here is an empty space. We talked about you're going to have one, two, three walls, and then there's a bathroom. And I'm sure the dispensary, let's say the dispensary is in that room right there, okay? So when you say have a plan, let's start from right there. What is this new person to consider when they're having a plan? Now that they have the permits and the landlord, they've already delineated out who's going to do what, whether you own the space or you rent the space. So, what now does the plan are you asking them to consider?
Number one, it's the most important, in my opinion, is what we call floor flow. How is it going to flow? Where are they going to come in? Where are they going to first have your point of contact? Okay. Where are they going to be sitting? Where's the reception? Where is the flow of where the base of your plumbing, the base of where all your water services are going to be? Because one of the things that you have to consider, just in case there's a flood out, where is that water going to flow?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Who's asking those types of questions? I sure didn't. And trust me, I know you guys don't think these things are going to happen. Let Kilo tell y'all, you're going to experience some type of a snafu, either from the top or coming out the ground. It just comes with the territory. So that's a very good point. I never thought in a million years that that would even happen. And you're responsible for it. You can't call the landlord and say, "Hey, the salon is flooding. Hey, the water is dripping." They're like, "If the business ain't falling down, don't call me because you're in there." So
Yeah,
it's on you. You know, certain things is not,
and
but
you're also in there for a certain amount of time, which is
yeah.
called years. And so you have to make sure, and just because the place looks good to your eyes, you got to see what's behind the walls. Okay.
Okay, go on, break it down. Break it down,
Yeah.
Gretch. Come on now. Come on
Right, right.
through.
Because the 70% of your business has something to do with water. Okay. And so you want to make sure that the plumbing in that particular space does not have issues. Okay. And that includes not just shampoo bowls. Please make sure that shampoo bowls is not the most important plumbing. What is the most important plumbing in the salon, Kilo Low?
The most important plumbing in the salon is the bathroom.
The bathroom, called toilets. Okay. You do not want to be in a salon that has bad plumbing. Okay. And so once toilets keep backing up, okay, or they don't flush properly, or
They're
they're
not installed properly. This kind of wobbly,
right. And
little
also,
trips.
right. And also, you want a good, strong, consistent water pressure. Okay. There's nothing worse than being in a salon or being in a place that's going to transform into a salon with very weak water pressure or water pressure issues. And so that is, and that's my number one checklist. Second,
Can I just add one thing to that? When it comes to water, in case you did not know, you can call the water department and you can ask them, give me like a rundown on this space. How has the water bill been? Are there any issues outside? I'm telling you, we had one day I was in the salon, we had the water was like shut off.
mhm,
And we was like, how could the water be shut off? And so it was a leak, outside the building that the landlord was responsible for. And they were not going to mess with that until the landlord had that fixed. You see what I'm saying? So you got to make sure that you get as much information you can about the space that you're going to be leasing or renting, or even if you're going to buy it. And the water company, like they were able to give me here's what the a water bill would look like for that space. I know you don't think they could do that, but really, they can give
yeah,
you
they can
kind of
give
like
you a
a
history. They can give you a
yeah,
history. Yeah,
yeah. So you can so feel free to call up the water company and allow them to assist you if you have any other questions. Okay, so
absolutely.
now,
Great, excellent point.
yeah.
And then moving in, once you find the water pressure is consistent, there is no you're not in an area that has a lot of pipeline issues and things of that nature. There is and also make sure that it has the place ever been flooded out, because there could be possible issues down the road. And then the roof. You want to make sure that you don't, because water comes from the sky. Water doesn't get to the planet without coming from the sky. And so, and so you really want to make sure that your roof is good for the length of your lease. Let's just say you got the roof was done 25 years ago, right? And it's time to get it done, right? um, in the next couple of years, and then you sign a 5-year lease. Well, you got 3 years that nothing happens, and then your third year, okay, when the roof is out of warranty, whatever the case may be. So just make sure that you and your landlord, because I'm telling you, you don't want to catch a case messing with your landlord. So you want to make sure that you have a decent relationship with them.
Yeah, and also understand that if you're renting a, like your home rental property lease, it's very different. So commercial is that's what I was trying to say. Commercial renting is totally different from renting, from a place where you would live, like residential renting. So don't conflate and don't confuse the two, and don't get upset because we want you guys to succeed. So this is like the ugly, boring part of having a business, but it is also a very important part. And the reason why we're doing this live for you guys as students is because these are like the little points that rarely gets talked about, or if people do, they kind of brush over them. So our goal today is to really give you guys to have that aha, like, oh yeah, yeah, that's a good point. I should go look at that. Yeah, yeah, I should see if I can get somebody up on that roof. Yeah, I should ask that question. Um, about the roof. I should ask that contractor, show me that definitely, is he bonded, or is she insured? Because as much as you don't think that things will happen, I'm here to tell you, things do happen when you're trying to build out. Is that correct? Can you give them some examples, Cheryl, just of some things that could happen? Because you're building out, you're renovating right now. So, can you give them some examples of some things that could happen during a build out process?
Um, Delays, expect delays. If you have a timeline, make sure that that timeline is talked about, because there's going to be delays, unforeseen things that may have to be repaired before it gets to the cosmetic part. Because I know that you guys are going to be excited to get to the inside and to make it decorative and all these wonderful things, but plumbing, I think we kind of stretched out. But other most important part is the electrical, because of course, and then the 40 other percent and all day. And I think just as important than water is electricity. And you want to make sure that your electrical box, you do want to know where that is. Um, and not only do you want to know where it is, you want to know the load. What capacity of the electricity has it been upgraded? And just like a car, has there been fire in that particular building? Has there been electrical outages? Has there been, um, and have the electricity been upgraded within the last 10 to 15 years? Because all buildings are not compliant or can handle a salon, blow dryers drain a lot of energy, okay, a lot of electrical energy, blow dryers, right? And then two, you must consider, I would always consider 2 seasons, winter and summer. Not fall and spring's not really important, but winter and summer. So if you live in a place that tends to be extremely cold in the winter and extremely hot in the summer, you're gonna have to make sure that your load, because in the summer you're gonna add air conditioning. Okay, all right. Also, when you are considering your electrical bill, and also like Ladosha says, you can get an electrical history as well of a average electrical bill. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but most importantly, those things are going to go up in those 2 seasons,
And
winter
then, right.
and
Yeah,
summer.
and let me just add to this too. If you're going to be employing people or subleasing or any of those, they just now remember these costs are not fixed. Okay, the cost of your water and the cost of your sewage, which most places is going to be separate. okay, and your electricity and your heat. Those are not fixed costs. So the more that stuff is being used, quite naturally, of course, the higher it is going to be. Now, a lot of people kind of feel like, oh, if I stick my client under the dryer, it's healthier for the hair. But blow dryer, hooded dryers are definitely going to be by far a lot more expensive on your bill than your blow dryers and the Rev Air. So that's some new technology, the reverse air technology. So you have to keep that in mind because these are the types of things that is going to cause the overhead costs to go up a lot. So, like Cheryl said, not only are you going to take into consideration the actual load, but how is that going to affect your bottom line dollar as you look at how much money you're going to take home? Because the electricity bills, those could be pretty heavy, especially if you're constantly putting all those people under the dryer, but the price of your service doesn't match the overhead. Can you talk a little bit about that, Cheryl?
Hmm. Well, it's understanding what you gross on a weekly basis, and gross is without extraction of expenses because you have not net yet. Okay, but if you plan according to what, and let me just say this: you guys will not know this at first because you do have to have at least that's what they call fiscal. You do want a some kind of pattern, right? And so you don't necessarily have to be rigid in your first 6 months, right? But what you do is that you want to keep your expenses low. So you want to make sure that whatever services you're rendering can offset your expenses. But you will not get a rhythm until you get a pattern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And so
yeah.
you don't have to be so rigid in thinking you have to know this at first. Um, and let me just say this: know your patterns and be able to forecast because of those patterns. If you realize that your heavy days are your Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, right? And then so you can offset, make sure that you understand your heavy days because your heavy days, right? You're still going to be outputting expenses.
Mm-hmm.
They get more revenue. But on these particular slow days, you're going to have to also make sure that you have some extra revenue on those slow days to make sure that you pay for those heavy
Right,
days.
right. And these are also issues why people who own property, they move the cost, of your space because they're watching the quote unquote wear and tear, on their actual physical space. And so a lot of times, when you go to rent a space and you don't take those two things into consideration, one, what's happening to the actual physical space as you become more busy, and then number two, as you see your utility usage go up, even your internet, that bandwidth that you're using, if you're offering, like we offer free Wi-Fi. Well, who knew the cost it took to update the Wi-Fi so that it could be free and so that it could be faster. I surely, but again, this is why we're doing this live because these are things that we just it's just going to be $10 extra. But no, that money starts to creep up on you. And you, the owner, you're going to incur those costs. So if you have your booth rental or your rent space, locked in, but you start to see these small incremental prices going up across the board on your lights, your gas, your sewage, like you're going to be like, maybe I need to make some adjustments. Maybe we shouldn't be open, just one day for one person, because the cost is not like it's going to be any cheaper if you just have the lights on. It's going to cost regardless, correct?
Um, that would be one formula, of course.
Yeah.
But you want to make sure that your income is at least 40% more than what usage, and you actually can know. and because it's on your bill, guys, what you tend to use on a specific day. And if you guys can, and it may be an extra step into knowing what your daily usage would
Hmm.
be, but you don't necessarily have to get that, maniacal
Well,
about
yeah, yeah, but let's take for example the electricity bill, right? So again, your residential space is not like your home space, right? So when you were a kid, there was one thing in the house your mom didn't want you to touch outside of the refrigerator. It was a thermostat,
it.
right? And we couldn't quite understand why she was like, "Don't touch my thermostat. Don't you ever touch my thermostat." Well, on this cost of electrical, now remember Cheryl said you have to understand the load, you have to understand the safety, and making sure you're not putting too many things into one, extension cord or whatever those types of things are, right, Cheryl?
Yeah, then you
Yeah.
you can make sure that you are energy efficient.
Right, and
You
that's
can,
a perfect word. Sorry for cutting you off.
no,
That's where I was going. And so our light bill would be like $700. It would be like 500. It would be like eight. Then it would be like six. It would be back up to nine. We're like, what the hell are we doing wrong? So again, like Cheryl said, you can call and get this all worked out. Okay. So as we were like, they trying to rip us off because you're from the hood. You think everybody trying to rip your ass off. And so I called the light company. They immediately knew what was going on. And they said, "Are you turning your air conditioner off when you leave at night?" And we were like, "Well, yeah, ain't nobody in here." And they were like, "Well, you're going to pull more energy to heat that, to cool that baby back off than if you were to just lock that temperature in and let it just stay." But I just couldn't fathom that air conditioning just running, the whole time. But of course, I was very ignorant. And I was, of course, equating that to what would happen at home. Like if you're going to go out of town or something, you turn things off or whatever. So again, these are some examples. I love the word you used, which was energy efficient. Now, I don't have solar panels, so I can't speak to that. But that is something that you can do and to talk with the energy company, your electric company, rather, to understand your behaviors and what you're doing to make these costs go up. Because remember, Cheryl just told us at the beginning, you got to have a plan before you even get into that space. Okay.
right. And let me just go so you can get a simpler formula. So
Okay. Thank you.
so let's just say you have 2 months, 3 months, 4 months worth of pattern. You've been working now, you've been open, blah 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 blah. So let's just take Kilolo's average, right? Kilolo's average. Reverence Design Team's hair salons average bill $700 a month, right?
Mm-hmm.
And divide that, let's say out of 30 days, you had 25 working days, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so 25 working days, right, is $28 a day. So let's just say if you were to think of an escrow, so you can put your expenses in an escrow, right? And Kilolo is also, responsible for the payment of the bills, right? So if she puts $28 and she's made, let's say, $300 that day, right? $28 towards an expense escrow, then you have your bill money. You're not trying to pay the bill out of, you know what I mean?
That last week's pay.
Out of, you don't want to pay bills out of your net.
No.
Okay, pay your bills, pay your bills first. And so $28 a day, and let's just say $7 for water. So you're down to $32, $34 a day. Just put it in escrow. And then you won't necessarily have to, because that's only, and then let's just go here. Let's say your bill, because your bill should not be $700, and let's say you have 25 working days. It should only be 28 dollars. But if you made 300 and you're put away $28, I mean that's almost like what 90. Your expenses per day is basically only like 7%.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so if you think about it that way, then you're going to be coasting.
Right, yeah. There are some other things too. Yeah, like leaving things plugged in. Again, think about this stuff before you actually get into it. These are habits you want to stop them, guys, before you even get into these loft spaces. Don't get so busy where you're rushing out and then you're like, oh, I did everything that Cheryl Ladosha said. I remember I watched this live, and then you know what? Now this is a little bit more than I can afford, and now I don't know if I can keep my space open, because we do see a lot of that, because those lofts are just as much as owning a actual physical space. They are not cheap at all. So if you sure, we're doing pretty good with this topic here. We got some thumbs up already in the chat. So to get some more thumbs up, Cheryl would like you guys to do this right here to help change the narrative about how to design your salon or barbershop, nail tech, or skincare space. Here you go, right here. Okay, so Cheryl has given us some wonderful points to consider, starting with your floor
And if,
plan. Check
yeah,
out your plumbing, look at your roof, expect some delays, do your electrical, and now you were going to say what as we get ready to get the
I
space
was
here.
just gonna make sure that there, because we are in 2024, y'all. There is reusable, um, to a point where you can charge things. There's a lot of battery operated apparatuses. You don't have to leave your electricity on. And you also, which is a very good point, Ladosha, make sure that you, if you do use super savers, and you use those really nice energy efficient plugins, right?
Mm.
Just unplug them, and because yeah, the clock is running even when you're not.
Yeah, yeah. People don't think
That's
about
a very good point.
now. Again, I don't want to perpetrate the fraud. I didn't make this stuff up. I called the light company, and they know the behaviors of their consumers. So Cheryl, you were just absolutely dead on when you said energy efficient. Call these places up. This is what they do for a business. They want to help. They want you to stay. They want your money. In other words,
And and
they
and
don't.
and,
They don't want to shut it off.
and let me just say this: I like green is always better. Energy efficient is always better. So in other words, y'all, them damn TVs, y'all don't need TVs in a salon, especially when you're first starting out. Anything that's gonna take, you do not need electrical neon signs on y'all's walls. Not if you're just first starting out. Be
Mhm.
clean, be efficient.
Yeah,
Use battery.
solar. Look at, you got solar operated. Yeah, we
Yeah.
still use calculators. They have solar charges. Remember, we went to speak in Atlanta. There was a company giving away, instead of plugging in chargers, they were giving away some pretty slick solar, charger recharge chargers for your
Mhm.
phone.
And it
Uh,
was the car company. Yeah, it was the car
yeah,
company. Like the Capital.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. And so,
Okay.
just try to go battery operated or solar, if you can. If you guys have to have those extra uh, tchotchkes.
Accoutrements. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now we did it. Now we got the space, Cheryl. So here we are. Here are some designs. You talked about the flow. You talked about
Water,
the plumbing. You got the roof to look at. Expect
bathroom.
some delays. You got your electrical. So now we have our space.
Uh
Uh oh. I'm gonna tell you, I suck at design. It was so horrible. Why do salons have to have a certain kind of a design? I mean, what are we considering? I'm looking at these spaces here and the spaces of the chairs and like this one down here. I think these are way too close. When the pandemic happened and they said the state make your stations 6 feet apart, mine's already were. I don't like this. The state doesn't require that much space, but
Mhm.
let's just talk about the actual that we got. Let's how we gonna hook this baby up. This
It's so ironic that this subject, because this is actually one of my favorite subjects, because this is where I elevated when I went out of actually doing hair. And I love salon design, interior design. But one, when I really understood that you guys have to understand, salons be behind the walls. Okay. A salon is a bathroom and a kitchen. Okay. It's meaning that its housings, its plumbing, and its electricity, all of that stuff is created like a kitchen and bathroom. Okay. It has the same kind of plumbing connections, it has the same as electrical connections. It's basically a glorified commercial kitchen and bathroom. Okay, that's what all that a salon is. Water and electricity. Okay. Now, with that being said, once you get to in front of the walls, and I know that we don't really put too much thought in it, but the salon design as we know it, the mirror in front and the chair in front of it, these basically same designs were not created by hairstylists. Okay, they're not really work efficient. They're
really.
just created, um, and everything's about around a chair and a mirror. But when you come to the artistry in the workspace, how it is efficient with the human body, or the what we call the styler, it is not very efficient at all. Okay, and so
So let me interrupt you right quick. So all of these fit that model. Well, this is
mhm,
a skincare space, massage,
mhm.
obviously, aesthetic space. So this first one here, the top picture with the black chair that's facing the mirror, and so, but ain't this what we got to do? Like let people like.
The conversation today is that you can make sure that you don't have to stick to the parameters and the metrics and the logistics of what most people and what most salons do. You must make your space conducive to your body and how you move in the course of a day. So anyway, but when I designed mine, I made sure that and let me just be clear, and let me just say this because I'm talking to people who will be building and creating salon suites and things of that nature. So I don't, I don't believe that you should create your space for a client. You should create your space for you. That's your workspace. That's not the client's workspace. That's your workspace.
So
Okay.
what would that look like? Can I Google what that space would look like? You said it's not. How about is this like would one of these spaces kind of fit an example of your
No,
workspace? No. Wow.
no. Well, first of all, when let's just say and let me just be clear, one of the reasons why hairstylists do not, okay, turn their clients to mirrors is because you don't have access with your hands. And because we have a habit of turning them away, is because we're either right-handed or we're left-handed. And the problem is that the mirror is neither near a right hand or a left hand. Okay. And so that is why they made the chair what they call swivel. That's the only reason why they made the chair to turn, because they knew that the space was not work efficient. So the chair swivels because you're consistently trying to turn it from side to side. Because at the end of the day, I'm right-handed, probably like most people are. I like my workspace to be conducive to my right hand. No matter if I'm reaching up, reaching down, reaching over, reaching left or and at the end of the day, you're constantly doing this. But if it's not compliant, you have the opportunity to make sure that your flow. I do a lot of blow dries and things of that nature. So all of my heat equipment, I don't really use a lot of dryers, but if you do, make sure you get your vision, get your piece of paper out, make sure you say, I want to do this all day. I'm going to be in here all day. Now, let's stop just for 1 second, right? That lady that has the face mask on and the gloves, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. How many times do you walk away from your chair on an average during a service, Kilolo?
I'm there the whole time.
You are at your chair the whole time, which
Yes.
means that you've gathered all of your tools, right? You've
Correct.
gathered everything you need. You've gathered all your combs, all your pins, everything, all your foils, everything, right?
Right.
So would you also say, where is all that stuff?
On a cart.
On a cart. Now, why would a salon need a cart?
To be close to you, to limit the reach.
Because we are taught that the salon stations are not efficient. That's why we have carts, because here you have a built-in station, don't you?
Yes.
You have a mirror built in. So we have to buy extra carts because the station is not efficient. We don't have extra carts.
I'm using
Uh,
my salon to show you
oh,
exactly
okay,
what you're talking about. Yeah, she's
right,
right. So there's my
right. We don't
chair.
use we don't use extra carts in the kitchen. We don't use carts anyplace else, but we use them because the station we created is not efficient. Okay. And so I'm saying to you, let's go here. Have you guys ever seen an L-shaped table?
Yes.
Okay. L shapes are more efficient than just sticking a mirror in a on a wall in a chair in front of it. So my point is that if I have an L shape, then I have something in front of the client that I also can use. So swiveling, and then on the side, I have this whole elaborate, wonderful table with drawers at the bottom. So I don't ever have to turn the client, and I don't have to have an extra cart. We have carts, and I know that they're so common, but we don't realize that the reason why we have carts is because the stations in and of themselves are not conducive to your left side or your right side.
Mm.
You only have two arms, and they're split in a left and a right, but everything is in front of the chair, and you don't have 12 feet arms, so you don't, so you can go over and grab things. So anyway, but my point is that there's places like IKEA, there's
Yeah.
places like Home Depot, there's places like Lowe's that also your contractor can make you such, if you have it,
So
in
let's
your.
look at this space right here. This kind of speaks a little bit to what you're talking about. 29 inspiring design ideas for a hair salon.
Mhm,
I know it's got some chairs right here, but let's
mhm,
just say if that stylist was in that L-shaped cubicle,
mhm,
wow, that's pretty slick. I
mhm.
like that. If you like that, what Cheryl is talking about, hit that thumbs up button. Also, if you have any questions about salon design, remember this is Cheryl's area of expertise. You can email us at afrohairscience@gmail.com. This is why we're here, but looking at this picture that has like a L shape, I like that. But I think we're so used to this open space where customers can talk to each other and we can, hairstylists can go across the room. Hey, girl, ah ha ha,
Well, this makes more sense in my opinion because it gives you a cubicle suite in a salon with where other people can be. It gives you a little privacy if you want to have curtains, right? And it allows you to be able to create a sense of privacy when you need it, just like in a hospital emergency room. You just have these curtains. You know what I mean? You don't
okay.
have to be isolated from your other colleagues, right? But the salon design in the salon has not been disrupted or it has not been improved in at least 100 years. They don't
Wow.
improve it because
Yeah.
I think, and who better to improve it? And this is one of the other things that we were talking about, we may be talking about in Houston. This is the next elevation because I believe if salon interior design and salon construction was done by hairstylists, we wouldn't make dumb hair salons. We just wouldn't.
Yeah. Look
We
at this one down here. This design is more like their this is their I'm assuming this is their reception area,
mm,
which is it's definitely more it definitely says chill out. It's not so it doesn't have all the chairs lined up across, the back wall, like sit there. Patient number 45, Dr. Jones would like to see you.
right.
Yeah, this is definitely saying, wow, these are, I never thought of that. I like the idea of what you're saying and to be able to sit with someone to help us revision. Because as you were talking, my skin was cringing, right? Because I can't, to work like this, the black and white one with the mirror in the front just seems so like predictable,
Mm-hmm,
and it's because it's familiar. But to
mm-hmm,
work in the L-shaped space, now that you've explained it, it kind of makes me a little bit more exciting to see if
mm-hmm,
I could actually work in a space where I don't have to, because you are creating an L space when
mm-hmm.
you start pulling these carts
Right.
around. Duh. Are you guys following what Cheryl is
Right,
saying? Like, you're
right.
making a heck of a lot of sense. So, this has been very, very helpful. Last but not least, before we wrap this up, we got to talk about the money.
Ooh.
So, can you talk about the cost of what should people be considering? And not so much as in the amount, but maybe if you could give them like an itemized budget of things to consider as they envision, because you're in your bed or you're at your computer or maybe you're in class and you're talking with your parents, your loved one about your dream space. But what is that budget looks like? What should they be delineating out on that piece of paper as they envision what's going to happen in that empty space?
Mm-hmm. Well, it'll be easier if you can just compartmentalize it, right? You're going to compartmentalize, basically, obviously, what we went over is what's behind the walls, right? Making sure that those things are good. But when it comes to your contracting, you want to make sure that and you ask what can you do and what can't you do, because what your deposit, you regardless of where you go, wherever you go, you want it back, right? Or you don't want to just completely, ruin the place, but you want to make sure that you leave yourself enough white walls to where they're just canvases, right? And so you want to make sure that if you want to change the flooring, right? You want to change the flooring, just go shopping, know what prices are. Then you negotiate the price from there. And then you can create your budget. And then you go, and when you know exactly what you want, and make sure that you already know what things cost before you get the contractor, because they lie. Okay. And so it's your money. So if you got 13 grand, you know what I mean? Or you got 10 grand, or you got 25 grand, and you're going to put this on your credit card, guys, right? And you guys going to get a little micro loan, right? Or you're going to get family, to invest as well. The key is know what you want, know where things are going to go, and start with white walls so you can have a canvas, right?
Hmm.
And then also you can go to budgetary thrift and thrift stores and things of that nature. You can save money on that are really, and you can really go into um, lots of plants. Don't open a salon. Come on now, you got to have some plants, y'all. That is the most inexpensive sexiness. Also, it allows you to breathe. And also, when we got into water and we got into electricity, but what we didn't go into was air quality. You guys are going to be in there all day. You guys want to be breathing in some wonderful air. And so I would spend my money on the checks and balances, plumbing and electricity, but air quality, humidifier. Make sure, because you guys deal with a lot of water. You guys are constantly heat, water, heat, water. That's moisture. You want to take that moisture out of the air. Make sure that you guys are really doing some great humidifier. And so, but you can go shopping. Just write the prices down. I like places like IKEA. They're inexpensive, they're chic, and they're cutting edge. Go get you some. Go ahead. You're on mute, sweetness.
Sorry. Yeah, everything she's saying is correct. Everything you see in this salon, this is all IKEA. IBS should not. Very, very affordable. The shelves, every single thing except for the chairs. The roller carts are, what do you call those? What's that cart you have called? Husky. We have a husky cart. So yeah, so everything in here, I'll just kind of just right quick so you guys can see. We've got IKEA, IKEA. There's another IKEA. So yeah, so Cheryl is 100% correct, and then also Cheryl, as we close this out here, VK, I'm with you. I love the L shape. Clearly, somebody has Cheryl in mind because here is a design of what she's talking about in the L shape. Imagine if you, just a concept, if you will, of being in that space and being able to have everything around you. I think that is, I would love to see something like that happen because I cannot fathom not having a mirror. you
Right,
know,
right. And let me just say this. We just imagine if we had a new concept of a beauty show. These companies would come to our shows and show them how we can make our spaces more efficient. They're out there. They're at other, you know where they are? They're at spas. They're at spa shows, not at salon shows, because we don't really lobby them, or we don't communicate with them and say, we need some help.
right.
Because I want to have a 15-year career, and I don't want to be, buying six or seven or eight carts for a 15-year career because the wheel and fell off and this and fell off and that.
Oh boy. Guilty.
Yeah.
All right, Cheryl. Well, you and don't forget, guys, the green. So with that being said, now Cheryl don't be knowing what I'm gonna put down for the next topic. But no lie. Here's my little notes here. Okay. There it is. Cultivating the salon, yourself and your clients in the atmosphere. So we're going to come back next week and we're going to talk about now that you have your space, and we truly are here for you guys. Now, Cheryl, she's on the upper echelon of this, so you definitely, if you want to level it up, please reach out to us, to Cheryl via Afro Hair Science at gmail.com. But we're both here. I work in the space and live time, and I can agree that this L-shaped thing, as WK just pointed out, got me rethinking. Even Spritz came over here like, what you talking about? Because we work behind the chair and we just never thought of these things. And this is why we do this for you guys that are in school, so you all aren't making the same mistakes that I've made. Okay. So if you like this podcast this time around, please don't forget like, share, and subscribe. We have a goal of 3,000 followers, which is climbing, it's moving up. We appreciate every single person who takes the time out to watch us and hit the thumbs up button. So, again, we're going to be back next week about cultivating the self and your salon environment. And Charlotte's going to definitely go back into a little bit more about the air quality and plants and why these things are so important. And just to really help you guys get ready to have the best business that you can have, and or even if you're going to go into a space, because all of these ideals that you see in the salon, all of this did not come from me. It came from other people who actually work alongside me. So I can tell you, salon owners, we don't know everything. Duh. And so we love to hear what you guys have to say. All of the direction in the salon always come from my colleagues. So even if you're not going to own your own, you'd be surprised how many salon owners, barbershop owners, and nail tech skincare places would love to have your input to help cultivate a beautiful environment. All right. So that's what we're going to be back tonight. We're going to talk about the Crown Act. What's wrong with it? This is the one that I've been waiting for. We're building up to Project 2025, which is going to be our last topic of the month. But tonight, Cheryl, are you excited to talk about what's wrong with the Crown Act?
I am excited to talk about what's wrong with the Crown Act, but most importantly, how we can make it better.
Okay, all right. How we can make it better? We're going to do that from a consumer standpoint tonight, and then Thursday we're going to do it from a professional standpoint. So you'll get both angles because the professionals are going to have to do something different from the consumers. And notice I said like Michelle Obama, do something. All right, guys. So thank you so very much. Let me just stop sharing the screen here right now. Cheryl, as always, you are so phenomenal. Always giving us something to think about. And Wike said this, I don't own a salon, but this topic will definitely help her when she starts to build her house next year. Oh, yeah. Okay. You
Oh,
right.
absolutely, girl.
I ain't even thinking that. Duh.
Tell you, man, I can tell you. Tell you.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay, guys. So you know what we say when we're signing off here, right? We're always talking about your good. Be your better, be your best, and never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. Thank you, every single person on Instagram. I forgot to give you guys a shout out. Thank you so much, Instagram, for rocking it out with us. And we will see you tonight right here on the dumbest that people say about black hair. That's right here on the Afro Hair Science YouTube channel, the trillest, the realest, America's favorite podcast about Afro hair. Me and Cheryl, we got you guys faded. All right, guys, we'll see you back at 6 o'clock sharp or 3 o'clock on Cheryl's West Coast time. All right, Cheryl, I'll see you in a minute. Bye, weekend. So, you think you can do hair? Then join us every Monday at 12 o'clock on the Afro Hair Science YouTube channel.